Hi, everybody. Welcome to Christian Homestead. My name is Jared. It's been another day, just like Saturday. Didn't go as planned. Had a lot of fun, and I'm recording this late at night. And, technically, it's the AM hours of Wednesday morning. So, this video is not as organized as they usually are, but I think I'll be able to bring you this news about the red heifers. It seems that there was a perfectly red heifer that was born in Israel, and we're going to talk about it. Does this matter to our church? We're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, or is it just a Jewish thing? Why would we care about this? I don't know that we do. So look, it all comes down to the temple that's going to be built in Jerusalem. I've done my darndest to try and find out how that prophecy is going to play out. And it's not clear. If we go to my spreadsheet called quotes A through Z, go to row 329 for Jerusalem, future Jerusalem temple, I have a number of quotes, some of which say that the Jews will build the temple, and others more recent that say that it's going to be the church that builds the temple. So I have a hard time seeing how it's going to play out if the church is the organization that builds the temple on the Temple Mount. I could see the BYU Jerusalem Center becoming a temple, not a temple like what we have now with a baptismal font and such, but maybe an administrative headquarters when Christ comes again. I tend to think that way. But if the temple that's talked about in the scriptures, and by the way, I think there could be multiple temples, just like the New Jerusalem. But if there has to be one temple on the Temple Mount, I have a hard time seeing our church making that happen, although nothing is impossible for the Lord. But if it is the Jews that build that specific temple, and if they build it before Christ comes and before they're converted to the gospel, then the red heifers, this whole thing with the red heifers is important because they're still operating off the law of Moses. And in order for them to move forward with everything that they need to do in the third temple, they have to have the ashes of the red heifer. It's needed to purify the Jews themselves, as well as, I think, the temple site. Oh my gosh, sorry. So, if that's how prophecy plays out, they build a temple, and then later it's dedicated the proper way by the proper authority, then this could be important. I'm not going to read through these quotes, but you can access my spreadsheets anytime. The link is in the description box of each video. You may also want to double check this series of quotes. This is on the same spreadsheet, what's currently row 538 for priesthood lost, Jews, Christians, Native Americans. We need to remember that those groups do not have the priesthood. That's why the priesthood had to be restored. First, through John the Baptist, who held the keys for the Aaronic priesthood, and then later, Peter, James, and John for the Melchizedek priesthood. Some people don't understand this. The Jews lost the priesthood, even though they still keep track of who is of the line of Aaron, the priests, the Kohanim is what they're called, and also the Levites from the rest of the tribe of Levi. So, with that being said, and before we get into the story, let's just do a quick review of what we currently know about the red heifers. This is a separate spreadsheet for my other channel called Jewish Scroll, which I haven't done a whole lot of work on because I've been very busy this summer. But this is a list of everything that I've tracked where these activist groups have tried to make the third temple a reality. And we're looking at column I for red heifer. And the first item that I'm aware of comes from March 28th, 2016. Announcement of compiling a list of Jewish priests who would be eligible to prepare the red heifer and serve in the temple. The announcement coincides with the weekly Torah reading that describes the preparation of the red heifer. Okay, so 2016. Next, we have September of 2022. That's when 5 red heifers were sent from Texas to Israel. These were 5 red heifers that were candidates to become the red heifers, or a red heifer that would be part of that ceremony to get the ashes. Okay, April 24th, there was a young Cohen, or a Jewish priest, one from the lineage of Aaron, who was identified as qualified or ritually pure to perform the red heifer ceremony. And then on August 6th of 2024, there was a reenactment of the red heifer ceremony. I think that one was like not like the actual thing where they actually burned a red heifer, but just kind of like a dry run. May of 2025, Rabbi Ariel, he's the head of the research department of the Temple Institute, who's overseeing this project with the red heifers. He said it's unclear if any of the red heifers are still suitable for the ceremony. July 1st, 2025. Now this was a big one. They did an actual reenactment where they actually burned a red heifer. One of these disqualified red heifers that came from Texas, I believe it was one of those. They did the actual thing. It wasn't done where it needs to be done, according to Judaism. It has to be done on the Mount of Olives, in a specific spot that has a straight line of view into the Holy of Holies. It doesn't matter that the temple is not there. According to them, it just has to be in that spot where they could see into the Holy of Holies from the Mount of Olives. So this was done in the West Bank, or, oh my gosh, sorry. This was done in the West Bank, or the part of the West Bank that Jews call Samaria. And then the most recent thing that I have on the spreadsheet at this time, this is November 10th, 2025. The Temple Institute and Sanhedrin issue an official statement on the red heifer practice ceremony. They did that because there were some people who were claiming that that was the real thing, that they did the ceremony in secret, and now they have kosher ashes of the red heifer, and that's not true. The ones in charge of this were like, no, that red heifer was disqualified, and this is not where we would do it, and that's not what we would do with the ashes. They wouldn't be collected in that way. They wouldn't be used in this certain way, because like some people claim to have, well, I guess they did have ashes from that practice ceremony. And then they were doing blessings with it, and that's not even what the ashes are for. So they had to put out this statement to put all that stuff down. Okay, so that brings us to the last few days. We're going to go to the Temple Institute Facebook page, and there's Rabbi Azaria Ariel. By the way, my friend Adam with Israel 365 News, he is in contact with him. So I'm just like this one step away, or I guess, is that 2 steps away from what's going on here as far as getting good information. I haven't heard anything from Adam, but they broke this news here on the Facebook page. But there he is looking at the calf. Here's another picture of the calf. I think it's probably a red Angus, I suppose. And then there, it is. Well, I guess it wouldn't be a bull. It's a heifer. It's not it's not a male. It's a female. Okay, and then you have this. Okay, so it has an ear tag. This has come up before, as we've talked about the red heifers. One of the requirements is that it's not supposed to have any blemish or like scars or anything like that. But it has an ear tag. It's like a like an earring. It goes through the ear. So doesn't that disqualify it? Well, that's addressed in this post, but let's read this first one first. Sorry. Okay, a red heifer. I haven't read this, by the way. Like I said, I'm doing this late at night, so I'm just going to read this raw. A red heifer is born in the Galilee, and they will take you a pure red heifer from Numbers chapter 19, verse 2. In the shadow of the war in the north, I'm going to highlight that because that sounds similar to the Battle of Armageddon. I'm not saying that what's happening with Hezbollah is the Battle of Armageddon, but it could be. I think there's different ways that you can view Armageddon and the War of Gog and Magog, and it may be fulfilled in ways that you don't picture. But this is a war in the north. In the shadow of the war in the north, a pure red heifer was born in a dairy farm in the Galilee mountains. Shai Gavon, who specializes in artificial insemination in dairy farms and cattle farms on behalf of the Farion Company, discovered that a completely red heifer was born in a dairy farm in the north of the country from the insemination he performed on a dairy cow 9 months ago. So a completely red heifer born in a dairy farm. Okay, so it doesn't seem that this comes from, well, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't come from the 5 red heifers that came from Texas. So this is something separate. Maybe something special, because they've had a hard time producing red heifers. They've been trying to do it for a while. The cow, as mentioned, was inseminated with a red Angus breed. Usually, due to the dominance of the black color that dominates dairy cows, this type of crossbreeding produces completely black or brown-black offspring. In this case, a completely brown heifer was born, and the incident surprised Shai very much. Okay. And when we're talking about red heifers, certain shades of brown are considered red. Okay. Shai is not new to the field of red cows. About 15 years ago, a red calf was born in his herd, but it was disqualified after it had black hairs on the edges of its body, ears, and tail. Over the years, Shai has gained experience and is now a member of the team at the National Institute for Red Cow Research. The National Institute for Red Heifer Research. The National Institute was established to be a home for all specialists in the field of red cows to work under one roof, creating a national scale project. Among the team members is Rabbi Azariah Ariel of the Temple Institute, who has published books on the subject and has been researching it for over a decade. Menachem Weber, coach of the Israeli national team in David, is the institute's spokesperson. Yehuda Ben Zvi, or Zvi, I don't know, of the Temple Knowledge Seminary, which has been inspiring the desire for the temple throughout the country for 30 years. I'm going to skip a little bit. A pure red calf with no white hairs at all is rare, but not unheard of. So let's highlight that. It's rare, but it's not unheard of, especially in Canada where hundreds of thousands of red Angus cattle are raised. The formidable challenge is to find a cow that has reached the age of 2 years without white hairs, which constitutes the halakhic, which is Jewish law, watershed between a heifer and a cow. Genetic and practical research has led to the conclusion that these hairs grow mainly due to a lack of melanin, in the same way as senile hairs in the human body. The challenge is compounded by the American law that requires a number tag to be placed in the ear of each heifer, which makes the task of finding a suitable heifer without a tag almost impossible. To deal with these challenges, the National Institute for Red Cow Research has established a Beit Midrash of scholars who are knowledgeable in the field, who discuss and provide a decision on the practical questions of the mitzvah while consulting with all the great men of Israel in the field. All this in order to give the project broad halakhic backing. Head of the Beit Midrash, Rabbi Azariah Ariel, believes the electrosis can be used to remove these hairs, provided that the cow is born 100% pure and the hairs are still few and scattered. Genetics also have implications. The calf's parents have a tendency to be black, which reduces the chances of white hair growing, when in fact her hair is red. But God's ways are hidden. Unfortunately, near the birth, a farm worker placed a tag in the calf's ear, which caused her a deformity. Shai was the first to understand the calf's potential and took care to remove the tag 8 days after it was placed. Okay. So it looks like there's still some hope, as evidenced by this post, which we're going to read after this. So we had the problem of the ear tag, but it doesn't seem that all is lost. Just last week, Rabbi Azariah Ariel performed a comprehensive examination of the calf and found that she was pure in her redness, and was happy to see that the rapid recovery rate of the deformity in her ears. Therefore, we chose to name the calf Tamima or Tamima, in prayer that she would indeed be found pure in her body and the redness of her hair. Okay, so we have rapid recovery rate of the deformity. That's kind of interesting because you would think, I mean, I don't know, I'm no expert in piercings, let alone piercings of cows' ears, but you would think that that would leave a scar. I know that they know what they're doing. They're Jews. They know how things need to be according to them. I just find that interesting. Let's see. The Beit Midrash, which was established only about a month ago and has about 20 Torah scholars, has already managed to decide on two significant issues. What do we do when there is still no Sanhedrin? The first, regarding the manner in which the pure Kohen received the cows. Okay, I'm actually going to end it right there. Let's read this last part. Perhaps today the red cow commandment is able to herald a national transformation from a period of pain and loss of a difficulty war to a pain and loss of a difficult war to a period of national prosperity, and prosperity that heralds the victory of the living, purification from the impurity of the dead. All right. Now let's go to this newer post. This is only 15 hours ago at the time that I'm making this video, concerning the ear tag of the recently born red heifer. Many people have expressed concern over the fact that the recently born cow had been given an ear tag before its potential as a red heifer candidate was realized. The ear tag is, of course, the standard method of identifying cattle on commercial farms. Tagging a red heifer candidate will create a deformity in the cause. I think that's supposed to be cow's ear, and disqualify the heifer as a kosher red heifer must be free from all wounds or deformities. Okay. In the case of the recently born red heifer, the tag was quickly removed, allowing for the wound to heal. Rabbi Azaria Ariel of the Temple Institute, who has spent decades studying the laws concerning the red heifer, conducted a thorough examination of the heifer, as he does all red heifer candidates, to check for non-red hairs, scars, or deformities. He's encouraged that the heifer's ear is healing and won't leave a scar or deformity. Really? Is that possible? Does anybody have experience with this with piercings? Um, should he discover upon a follow-up inspection that the ear hasn't healed properly, then the heifer will be disqualified. Okay, so I mean, there you go. Um, so how do I even say this? So it's really confusing. They got the red heifers from Texas. So before this happened, they had the 5 red heifers from Texas, and we were waiting for them to come of age. I think I still have it. I created a spreadsheet to track their ages based on the different statements that have been made in different news articles and social media posts. So the time came, they were all of age, and I was thinking, okay, so are you guys going to do this? Or why are we waiting any longer? You would think that you'd want everything ready to go as soon as you have a kosher candidate, because it's been so hard to produce a perfectly red heifer according to Halakha. My understanding, uh, when I've talked with Rabbi Gerfine, who is in West Jerusalem, when I've spoken to Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz, is that even though at that time they did have kosher red heifers, or at least one, there were still other issues that they were trying to work through. One was finding a Cohen, a Jewish priest, that qualified to perform the ceremony. There's these different things that can make a Jewish priest impure, such as having contact with a dead body, which would include even if you step foot in a hospital. So if you had a Jewish priest that was born in a hospital, they would be considered impure because you have death at the hospital. So it has to be a Jewish priest that's born at home, never goes to a cemetery, never goes to a hospital, and I think there's some other things. So I already read on that spreadsheet that they found a Cohen that met the standard of being ritually pure. But then we had this statement from Rabbi Azaria Ariel saying that it's no longer clear if any of those red heifers are pure anymore. So I think that's how it's played out. And so there hasn't been any more news of them becoming kosher again or fit for the ceremony. And so this heifer could be a big deal. The only thing about it is that we're going to have to wait a couple years. So, even if this, this heals the way that it needs to, we're still going to have to wait a couple years before they could use it for the ceremony. So it seems like that's where we're at. So there's this interesting development. We'll just have to see how it plays out. The Temple Institute has a YouTube channel, and they did a video about this. I don't think it really talks about anything that we doesn't say anything that we haven't. I just kind of skimmed through the transcript, but I'll put the link for this in the description box below in case you want to watch it. I checked my friend Adam's YouTube channel. He hasn't done a video about this yet. So anyway, that's where we're at. It is interesting though, because when you look at everything that these activist groups have been doing, there has been a lot of effort in trying to make the third temple a reality. If somehow that happens, then again, maybe that's how prophecy will play out. And then at some time in the future, I guess at the second coming, that temple would be dedicated with the proper priesthood authority. The Jews would accept Christ as the Messiah, and we would have that temple. But it may start with the red heifer, or it may not. Elder Bruce R. McConkie said that it'd be the church that would build the temple. Um, like I said, I think that could be the BYU Jerusalem Center. Um, you know, the only thing is that it's not supposed to be used for like as like a center for missionary work, like a mission home, essentially. Um, and the Lord can do whatever He wants. And there could be multiple temples in Jerusalem, maybe starting with the BYU Jerusalem Center. So I don't know. We just have to be flexible and see how things play out. But that's the latest news. We have this perfectly red heifer. We're going to wait and see if the ear heals. And then, I don't know, maybe this will be the one. All right, that's going to be for this one. I'll talk to you guys later.